Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Gardner, and I have guest host here, Zach Sills.
Hello.
Really appreciate you coming on last minute, Zach, to get our basketball in for this week, get moves out to people. Today we're going to give you weekly 5x5 pickups, surprises of the week, key fantasy injuries, and then streamer and deep league moves. We're not quite ready to go over trade targets yet since it's only a couple weeks in. I don't really see why you would need that yet, because people might not want to sell this early, most of the time. So with that, we'll just pop in. Weekly 5x5. I'll go first here. Dennis Smith Jr. He's been going crazy, and I was surprised to see he's still only 43% rostered in ESPN leagues. I think with Terry Rozier out and LaMelo obviously still out, Dennis Smith has been going off. He's averaging 16 points, 8.5 assists, and 35 minutes per game with the starting role. So, grab him with confidence for at least the next week. What do you got, Zach?
Definitely. For my first one, I got Lonnie Walker the fourth. So throughout the start of the season, it looks like he's getting good minutes. Pretty solid production, 15 plus points in 4 out of the last 5 games. And also averaging 1 steal and 1 block, so good supplementary there. And that gives you an average of 27 fantasy points for this guy.
Okay.
And yeah, the minutes were 31 minutes for him, so good solid minutes. On a Lakers team that isn't great, but good usage from him and 14% rostered, so I think that's a good pickup.
I think
if he's there.
Yeah, taking over the starting role with Westbrook to the bench has really helped him. And like you said, I wouldn't expect 36 a night, but if you could still get right around 30 for the last guy on your bench, that's a great pickup,
Oh yeah, definitely.
My next guy, Isaiah Stewart, he's still only 29% rostered. Or maybe even lower. I think I messed up my typing here, but yeah, averaging 29.6 fantasy points. He's averaging a double-double, and he's available in your league. He's averaging 13.4 points and 10.4 rebounds. To me, he's a must-grab. Duran has really lost minutes recently. He just, maybe in the second half, Duran to get more time, but it looks like it's Isaiah Stewart all the way. And you can grab this guy with confidence. And the offense is really picking up, too, which it's showing in his stats and as well as the rest of the Detroit roster. They're starting to look like a really fun young team to watch, and all these starters are going to benefit from it. Yeah, I'd argue he's even better long-term than Dennis Smith Jr. for your team. So, yeah, this guy's only 24.6% rostered in ESPN leagues, so go get this man.
Yeah. Agree, 100%. Yeah, anytime you can get someone averaging a double-double, that is a great pickup if available. And it's a high-speed offense.
Yeah, man.
All right, on to my next one, which is a little bit kind of unclear getting into it, but my next pick is Eric Gordon for the Houston Rockets. So yeah, through the start of the season, he's started most of the games that I think all the games that he's played, he's started, shown some vintage moments, driving to the bucket, and he can still bang down threes like he always has been. Averaging 32 minutes, and in his last 3 games, gotten 13 plus points. Uh, Missed a few games,
Nice.
and probably he's getting old. We'll miss a few more throughout the remainder of the season. Uh, and so this is where it gets kind of interesting. Gordon is starting at the 3 spot, and you also have Deshaun Tate that just came off of an ankle injury who is now back. We saw Tate get the start. Was just last night. Yeah, Tate got to start last night, and Gordon was kind of nursing his injury, just kind of resting it. I think it's mostly better.
Mm-hmm.
But it does bring up kind of a predicament. We haven't seen what Silas wants to do there for sure, if he wants Tate to start or if he wants Gordon to start. Now that they're both pretty much healthy, tonight will probably tell you one way or the other, depending on who starts. So it's kind of, Gordon starts tonight over Tate, you might want to pick up Gordon. If Tate starts over Gordon tonight, you probably want to pick up Tate. So kind of an interesting
For
scenario there in Houston.
Yeah, but they definitely need him playing good minutes because he's a spot shooter, and a lot of these guys are more the athletic, open up the court, and he needs to be the guy out there ready to shoot. So definitely works.
Yep.
Could be a trade piece too. That's why they don't want him to get hurt, and could be resting him. So could be good in like a team like the Lakers who needs a shooter too. My next guy, Kelly Olynyk, another big man that's very low owned. He's only 27.6% rostered in ESPN. He's averaging 27.1 fantasy points, 28 minutes, 13.7 points, 4.1 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.3 steals, 0.7 blocks. He's a must-own in my eyes. We've seen Utah surprise everybody to start the year, and I think he's a big part of that. His past couple years in Detroit, nobody was keeping track of Detroit, but he was doing the same kind of thing. Like, this is just what he does. When he gets the minutes, he can get around 30 fantasy points in points leagues. So I think he's great rest of the way. He's working perfectly next to Markkanen, and roster him with confidence.
Agree on that one as well. He has been looking good. But just a few off games here and there, but that happens with everyone.
Yeah.
I might switch up my order and go to the other player from the Utah Jazz I have on here.
Okay.
And Jarrett Vanderbilt. So yeah, just like Kelly Olynyk, that offense is it's hitting, and then also great rebounding from the team. And you see that in Olynyk and Vanderbilt's stats. Vanderbilt averaging just about a double-double, 8.4 points, 9 boards. Also averaging 1.7 steals. Those guys getting 27.7 fantasy points on average. The minutes, is he coming off the bench or does he start and just... Because he's getting 24.7
bench.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah, he's probably one of their best bench players.
Mm-hmm. So...
In 10th ranked power forward.
And his rostered was, I think, 30% of leagues. Let me just make sure. 32% of leagues you could still get this guy. Which is kind of middle of the road, but if he's there, to pick up with that offense.
Definitely one of the best floor players in my eyes. Just if you look at every game he's played so far, he's only gone under 20 once, so I think he's just got a really good floor, not a high ceiling, but you know what you're getting when you grab him.
Definitely.
My next guy is I'm just excited about this guy, so I threw him in my top five. Jock Landale. DeAndre Ayton is out at least a week, and Jock Landale I thought might start last night. He ended up coming off the bench, but he outplayed Biyombo by a lot. He played 23 minutes and he scored 16 points on 6 of 9 shooting, 7 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block. And he just really positions himself right where the ball is coming down. Like if he gets a putback shot, he had a nice little hook shot in that game. He just looks like a very smart player. He knows where to be, and it really does help if you have Chris Paul kind of lobbing it to you. He always makes his big men better. So I really like Jock Landale until DeAndre Ayton is back, because I think he's definitely better than Biyombo. Biyombo had that run last year, but he did not do as good last night starting. So I think Jock Landale's the pickup to fill in for Ayton. And yeah, he's got some upside because he's got quite an arsenal, it seems. And he's only 1.6% roster, so you can get this guy in very deep leagues right now and play him with confidence for the coming week.
Yep. Yeah, he looked good last night. Yeah, Ayton out for at least a week, it says, on his ankle. I think probably touch on that later in the injuries. But yeah, so this is a guy you could get for, I don't know, 3-4 games potentially. And then probably...
Yeah, probably drop after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so my next one is Bol. Usage on Bol has increased a lot from the Magic past few games, and then also kind of over the start of the season as well. Yeah, the usage increase showing off what he's truly capable of, I think. Most notably in his last game against Dallas, he recorded double-double, 16 points, 11 boards, also with 3 blocks. He played 30 minutes in that game, which is probably, I want to say it's the most minutes Bol's ever played. Yeah, if he continues to
you might be right.
minutes like this and like that kind of usage, could be a very valuable asset. A lot of people are starting to pick him up, but he's still only at 20% rostered. So,
Yeah, man, I love this pickup. Big upside pickup. Like you said, if he gets the 30 minutes, and I don't think he'll have trouble getting that, because Wendell Carter is pretty mediocre, kind of a floor player, and I think Mo Bamba has proven that he's just not that good of an NBA player. And Bol has overtaken him pretty easily at this point, and he deserves all the time. I just hope, I don't know if they were worried about him getting injured and like getting his body NBA ready over the past couple years, but I think it looks like it's all come together. And yeah, 30 minutes a night, he could average a double-double and keep up this 2.4 blocks, I think, just with that extreme length.
Yeah. He's a freak of nature, so yeah.
Yeah, big upside pick.
Crazy. Yeah.
And could be long-term like Isaiah Stewart. Like those could be the best 2 long-term pickups, if that's more what you're listening for. My next guy, or last guy here, Marcus Morris Sr. He's starting at power forward for the Clippers. He's on a team missing Covington and Leonard right now. He's averaging 25 minutes, 14.3 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. I think he's an easy stream this week. And he's kind of a guy who's in fantasy when he gets the minutes. He's pretty easy to throw out there and a good floor player to grab and at least run for a week here. And he was still averaging 26.1 fantasy points on the year, and that's a couple games with those guys playing, so I think it's going to be a good week for him this week. Houston tonight.
Yep. This should be a good game. Kawhi is out, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, you
Kawhi's out.
definitely see an uptick in production from Morris when you got Kawhi out, um, which seems to be a lot recently, right?
For sure. Yeah, he's we'll
So
talk about it. I'm pretty frustrated.
uh, gonna do the honorable mention. Honorable mention. Mentioned this guy last week, I think, which
Yep.
is Brook Lopez. People are starting to really roster this guy some more. He's at 45.9% rostered now, but in that other half of leagues, he's out there and he's getting 35.5 fantasy points on average, which is pretty crazy for someone potentially in that free agency list. So yeah, if he's out there, it's worth a look.
Yeah,
If he's out there.
definitely see if he's there. Best player available. I mean, if you're in a competitive league, probably not available, but if you're just starting on fantasy basketball podcasts and your league isn't that crazy on pickups, he's out there. So go check it out. So let's break into surprises. I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's playing at a first round level right now, and you got him round 3 or 4, 55.3 average, fantasy point average, averaging 31 points per game, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 2.4 steals, 1.2 blocks. I mean, you're basically rostering an additional first round pick to whoever you got in the first round. It's insane. So, hope he keeps it up. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, definitely. Shy is going crazy, and I think the Thunder is what are they? 4-2 or 3-3?
Are they really?
Yeah, they've actually been good.
They are 3-3.
Nice.
They've won 3 in a row though, so they're on a little
Okay.
tear here.
Nice. All right. My surprise, which isn't, I don't know if it's that big of a surprise or not, but Paolo Banchero, leading candidate for Rookie of the Year as of now, and I think standing far out in front of all the other rookies in his class. I thought we'd have a little bit more of a competition for Rookie of the Year. But yeah, it just looks like he's definitive so far. 18 plus points in every game he's played. But
Yeah, man.
yeah, just looking crazy out there. But unfortunately, the Magic still can't really win with him going crazy like that.
Well, they're missing a lot of players, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah, they're missing their
they only
guards
have
now.
one guard left. We'll talk
Mhm.
about it more later. But I think if they had some of those guys, they'd be more competitive. So we'll see how they do in the coming weeks. But yeah, he's right up there with some of the best rookie campaigns. I mean, it's only people are reading way too into it, only being like 6 games in, but
Mhm.
so 6 games in, he's right there with some of the best rookie campaigns ever recorded. So it's pretty fun to watch.
Definitely.
Um, I'll try to run through these injuries really quick. There are a lot to update you on, but want to make sure everyone's aware of everything going on in the league. Kawhi Leonard, knee soreness to miss Sunday and Monday of a back-to-back. The coach said he's still considered day-to-day with knee tightness. I just find the situation very odd, and I mean, if he went and got it checked out by a doctor, and they would have reported any structural damage by now, so that means there is none, and it's just kind of confusing on what's going on there. But yeah, pretty frustrating if you're an owner, so you can make that Marcus Morris move, or any of those other key moves we talked about. Next guy, Terry Rozier, ankle doubtful for Monday. So that's when Dennis Smith Jr. comes into play. I mean, you can play him with confidence. DeAndre Ayton, ankle, will miss at least a week. And that makes me think, with them just being a dominant in-season team, they're 5-1, they've won 4 in a row. They're not going to rush him back. I mean, this is the championship contender team, so it could be 2 weeks of streaming those backup winners.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. Joel Embiid didn't practice in Monday's shoot-around and is questionable for the game, so just keep an eye on that tonight. Damian Lillard calf will remain out for the coming Wednesday game against the Grizzlies, so the fact that they ruled him out, 2 days ahead is kind of worrisome. I feel like he could possibly miss a full week here, so just make sure you're watching that. Brandon Ingram, concussion. He will make the Pelicans three-game road trip, which kind of tells you he wants to return within the road trip. And in the little blurb I read, it said he could return Friday, so that might be like the target date. Devin Vassell, this one might be the most scary on the list. Knee. He will miss Sunday's game. He's missed 3 in a row. Whenever we talk about knees, I mean, I just kind of cringe a little bit because with basketball, I mean, those are always the scariest ones. And even when guys come back on sore knees or whatever, sometimes it leads to even worse. So that's a really important one to keep an eye on, because then we might start talking about the Spurs guards more in their depth chart. And then some other guys who have been out a little longer. Jalen Suggs underwent an MRI. Oh, wait. No, Jalen Suggs still out. They haven't set a return date, so like the last update was from last weekend, and then they still haven't said any recent updates on it, so I just assume, he might be another week or so away. Darius Garland, missing Monday's game, but showing signs of recovery and will hopefully make a return soon, is just how it was described, so there's some confidence there. And then LaMelo Ball was already set to miss Monday's game, so yeah, they're kind of keeping their cards tight against the chest. I don't know. With some of these guys at the end there, they're not really telling you a whole lot.
No.
But yeah, let's break into streamer deep league moves. My first guy, Jalen Williams. It was the first round draft pick of Oklahoma City, and he just looks like a beast whenever he's out there. He can do a lot in limited minutes. He played 27 minutes and scored 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, 33 fantasy points. And without Josh Giddey on the floor, this might be their second best player and big upside guy, because they want to play, obviously, their first round pick to keep analyzing their talent and see who they're going to keep, because they have so many picks coming up in the future that they're going to be trading away guys at the picks. So they just really want to see what these guys can do. And this guy's not disappointing. So I think big upside play here with Jalen Williams until Josh Giddey's at least back.
Nice. Yeah, that is a guy I'm definitely keeping my eye on to see kind of how it plays out, or if that one game was kind of not necessarily a fluke, but just All right. My next one here, I'm gonna go with another Jalen McDaniels for the Hornets.
Okay.
During the beginning of the season so far, pretty high production off the bench, averaging 24 fantasy points in 24 minutes. So the Hornets are kind of banged up, especially at the guard position. But you never know how that could affect like the overall rotations once they're back. It'll be something to keep an eye on if it does affect any of his minutes or production. I did roster him just kind of for that floor. It seems that he has a nice floor. So just, yeah, I rostered him for the floor just to kind of fill
For
that
sure.
last spot in my roster.
Yeah, no, he's been very consistent, and I think, our league is the perfect example of what you just said, grabbing him we're in a 12-team points league, and he's doing enough and has a good floor there where, I mean, if you're getting, the last guy on your bench is getting around 25 fantasy points, that's pretty good. That's how
Mm-hmm.
that's how deep the league is on grabs, and yeah, nobody's missing anything. So I do like that move a lot for deep leagues. My next guy, Bismack Biyombo, he started in place of DeAndre Ayton. I did choose Landell over him, Jack Landell. But yeah, being a starter, he's worth still a stream because maybe his first game starting, he did have a dud, but he could do better. He scored 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 blocks in 22 minutes. He's only 2.2% rostered, so it really comes down to who you believe in more, Biyombo or Landell, for the next week or two. Filling in for DeAndre Ayton. I chose Landell for the upside, but Biyombo could. He's the kind of guy when he gets minutes, he can average a double-double. So just
Yeah,
wanted to put that out there that I don't not believe in him. I just wanted to go with the upside guy a little more. But deep league, you could grab both. I mean, they could both do pretty good filling in.
definitely. And some nice blocks. I don't know if that'll keep up or not, but got 5 blocks last game and then
Yeah,
2
that was
the
pretty
game
insane.
before. So, all right, another streamer deep league move for me. Mentioned him earlier when I was talking about Eric Gordon. But here I have Deshaun Tate, a potential starter within the next few weeks. Like I mentioned, it's yet to be determined who will get that starting small forward role. Who the coach trusts with it. But so he started. He got back from his injury 3 games ago, so he's only had 3 games sample size here, averaging 20 fantasy points and 22 minutes. One of which games was a start, and that was yesterday's game. I think he played 30 minutes, so but that was with Eric Gordon completely sidelined because of rest. So it was only Tari Eason kind of filling in the rest of the minutes there instead of the 3 kind of in tandem. But yeah, Jayshawn Tate currently at 7% rostered, so he's probably out there. Even in a 12-man league, he'll probably be out there potentially. But yeah, you may want to wait till after this game to see if he starts or not, but definitely keep an eye on him.
Yeah, for sure. Add him to your watch list at a bare minimum,
Mm-hmm.
And then same with Eason. I think it's gonna be important to watch the battle between them on who really takes over the small forward minutes over the next couple months. So yeah, they might be switching off on who's the best to roster in a deep league at different times.
Yeah.
But maybe more towards the end of the season, it's going to be Eason. They're just going to tell Eason they're just going to give Eason the minutes and say screw it.
That would be nice.
But we'll see. I think they definitely will. I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And then I have 3 more guys here, and Zach, you just jump in and tell me what you think of them too after I go over each. Zach Collins, he's the backup center for the Spurs. He's only 2% rostered, 20.9 fantasy points average. He's been very efficient, and his minutes have been on an uptick here. I mean, he's coming off of... He's had a lot of injuries in the past couple years, but yeah, the past 4 games have looked promising. It looks like he's got a really good floor. I mean, even if you look at the past 6 games, he only has 1 dud. So it looks like his floor is still above 20 fantasy points, and ceiling around 30. So, 14-team league, you could definitely grab this guy. Looks pretty consistent. And I do remember the last year, the starting center for the Spurs wasn't the trade block. They didn't end up trading him, but this year could be different. And they're just because, this is a team in rebuild mode. They're going to try to get value from guys who aren't long term for them. So I think keep an eye on that. See what happens with Jacob Poltel if he gets traded. And then Zach Collins is going to be a must grab.
Yeah, looking at this guy right now. Yeah, it looks like nice points, and then he's also averaging 1.3 blocks, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Hopefully he could stay healthy, and we can actually see him develop a bit more this year. And then next up here, Dorian Finney-Smith. So he's been getting heavy minutes, but then oddly doing really bad the first 4 games of the year, even with like one of them being he had played 40 minutes and he only scored 10 fantasy points, so that was just insane to see. But because of that, he's been dropped. He's all the way down to 12% rostered. And I think the last 2 games is more of what we were seeing last year. So I think a lot has happened. They got Christian Wood, and they wanted to focus on Christian Wood because that was their big, off-season signing. And they want to be focused on him, but it seems like the coach is starting to not be a fan of Christian Wood because he's not playing defense. And they might be feeding Finney-Smith more based on the last 2 games. It's at least something to keep an eye on because Christian Wood's stats have gone down. Finney-Smith's have gone up. In the past 2 games, he averaged 34 minutes, 13 point. He's averaged 34 minutes on the year. The last 2 games, he's averaging 13 points, 6.5 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block. So if he keeps that up, you can roster him in a 12-team league. And yeah, it was just like a stream guy last year that you could grab, a guy for the bottom of your bench. And he could be that again this year if he keeps up the pace from the past 2 games. So someone to keep an eye on. A lot of words, but check him out.
Yeah, agreed. The last 2 games have looked pretty good. And anytime you get someone averaging 34 points, there's a lot of potential when you're on the court that long for...
Oh, yeah, 34 minutes.
Good game, yeah. So... And
that's exactly how I feel.
It's a good team, but
it's just weird.
Yeah, like the ball is in Luka's hands a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There, that must be why.
Yeah, but maybe he's figuring it out the past 2, so... I don't know, it was worse teams, I guess. Just keep at least add him to your watch list.
Mm-hmm.
And then this last guy, I think, is a very non-talked about pickup, but RJ Hampton is worth a roster spot to me because Cole Anthony's out, Markelle Fultz is out, and Jalen Suggs is out. So that leaves Hampton to fill in these minutes and these touches, bring the ball down the court. In his last 2 games, he's averaged 23 minutes, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 2 steals. I think until one of those guards is back, he's a great player to roster, and he's only 0.5% owned. So
that's a great one. That is a great
I feel like you could even grab him in a 12-team league right now, and feel pretty confident about it, knowing that there's no one that's going to take away from his time. You'd love to see the assist numbers go up as a point guard, but it is what it is. He's a stream option in a deep league, so I like him for that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's for sure how long Cole Anthony's going to be out, right? It's something with his oblique muscles.
Yeah, let me
So yeah, if he's out for any type of 1 week, 2 weeks, even that, it's definitely worth a roster for RJ Hampton, especially with you got Paolo down there, you got Bobo, he's got a lot of a lot of weapons in the front court, so.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Cole Anthony diagnosis. Right internal oblique muscle injury. Timeline for his return set to be determined based on how he responds to rehabilitation and treatment. So there's not a timeline yet.
Mm-hmm.
Fultz still had, last thing I read is he still has a boot on. So the closest guy to returning, I think, is Suggs, and there's been no update on him.
Oh.
Yeah, Fultz was seen wearing a slimmer boot Saturday, so not as big of a boot, but still a boot. and then Jalen Suggs, it just says right ankle sprain, so I don't. Wow. Even the MRI, all it says is confirmed a right ankle sprain, so they didn't really give us the severity. I don't. Yeah, I think you have at least a week of RJ Hampton, if not more.
Yeah, that's a great streamer.
Yeah, it's like one of the only guys available that we talked about in our league.
Yeah, I'm picking him up right now as we speak.
Dang! I like it. All right, Zach. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be back next Sunday. We're going to be doing a Sunday week to week going forward. We've just been adjusting to Zach Gardner's schedule for his day job. So yeah, thanks for bearing with us. Thanks for listening. And I hope we gave you some good fantasy basketball moves to make to help you win your week. So thanks, everyone.